live chat. We're a bunch of Viterbi student ambassadors here at USC, and we're here to answer your questions about engineering life on USC's campus. So I'm going to go straight into introductions, and you guys meet the team. You guys can see who's going to be answering your questions tonight. So why don't we get started with these introductions?
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Coco. I'm a sophomore majoring in astronautical engineering, originally from Danbury, Connecticut. Within Viterbi, I do research at USC's Rocket Propulsion Lab, and I'm also on Team Leapfrog, which is looking to build a prototype lunar lander. Outside of classes, I'm active in USC's Jewish life, especially Hillel, and I'm also a member of an Israeli consulting organization called Tamid.
Hi everyone, I'm Cassandra. I'm a senior studying industrial and systems engineering. I'm originally from New Jersey. And here on campus, I'm really involved with the Society of Women Engineers. I serve as the president this year. I also have served on the school's Catholic Center leadership for the past couple of years. Additionally, I'm on the committee for the special events. And I also ran the LA Marathon last year with the USC Marathon team. And I've had a few internships during my summers here at USC.
Hey guys, Jackie. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I am a sophomore studying industrial and systems engineering. On campus, I'm involved in a couple of things. I'm on the executive board for 2 outreach clubs, as well as a member of a social sorority, and I am currently interning at Providence Medical Center in the operations department.
Hey guys, I'm Morel. I'm a junior studying electrical engineering. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, and over the past 2 years I've been doing research at a robotics lab and have also been involved in the Viterbi Student Innovative Institute, which tries to encourage entrepreneurship within Viterbi. This past summer I was interning at a biotech company here in LA, and the summer before that I went on the Viterbi Summer Abroad program to Madrid.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm a junior studying computer science from Kailua, Hawaii. On campus, I'm on the executive board of my fraternity, and I'm involved in Thematic Option, USC's honors alternative to general education. And over the last summer and the last semester, I interned at an Android startup in Santa Monica doing software development on an Android app.
Thanks, guys. With that, we're just going to jump right into questions. So first of all, Zach wants to know what a typical day is like for an engineering student here at USC. So Coco, I'm going to hand this one off to you. Why don't you get us started? Hey Coco, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that, Zach. So basically, a typical engineering day is you're going to start off and you have 3 to 5 hours of class. I mean, these will vary depending on what class you're taking that semester and what year you're in, but that's basically the typical average. Like during the day, you'll definitely have time for other things. I mean, you'll spend some time doing homework. You'll have time to work out, go to a Lions Center. You also have time for a bunch of extracurricular activities, whether it be intramural frisbee or fraternity meetings or consulting meetings. There's definitely times out there to do a lot of different things. I would definitely encourage you to check out our day in the life videos, which are on our viterbivoices.usc.edu site, which is definitely a great resource.
Thanks, Alex. Zach, how about you? What's a typical day like?
For me, a typical day, I've actually planned my schedule so that I never start before noon because I love to get my beauty sleep. So I wake up, we have lunch at my fraternity every day, so I wake up, have lunch, and then I usually spend the rest of the afternoon and evening on campus doing work, going to classes, going to labs. I got some team projects I'm working on right now, so we have meetings for those about 3 times a week. After that, I'll go back to my room, do homework, mess around with my computer, I don't know, whatever I feel like that day, hang out with my friends. We do have friends, so I do that sometimes too. And yeah, that's a pretty typical thing. It varies day to day, but that's my average life.
Thanks, Zach. We're going to head on to the next question now. Next question coming at us from Gina on Twitter. Gina wants to know, how do students get around LA? Do you need a car? Cassandra, I'm coming at you with this one.
So I am a senior. I've had 3 years here at USC, and I do not own a car. I've never owned a car. But something that's really nice is a lot of my friends have had cars, so we generally go to the beach or other outings. We'll go out to dinner too. And additionally, I've had the opportunity to go to a lot of off-campus places with the student orgs I'm involved in. I have retreats with the Catholic Center and with the Society of Women Engineers. So there are a lot of opportunities to get off-campus with the organizations that you get involved in. And additionally, there is the Metro line, which is LA's public transportation system. And so currently it goes to downtown, and it also goes as far as Culver City. And in a few years, it will reach Santa Monica. So that will be really cool, and I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks, Cassandra. Our next question is from Tiffany, and she wants to know if Viterbi is a collaborative or a competitive environment. Zach, I'm going back to you at this one.
Thanks, Gavin. USC at Viterbi, it's not only is it not what I'd say is a competitive environment, I'd say it's really ultra collaborative in that you actually need to work with people and you need to collaborate. It's really important here. There's lots of team projects. I'm working on some really big ones right now, one for a software development class, one for a digital circuits class. And in these projects, you work with a large group, and it's the sort of thing that recruiters love to see, employers love to see, because USC really teaches you how to work in a big team and how to work with other people. So as it not only is you're not competing with everyone you're in class with, you're going to be working with all of them, and it's really, really a great collaborative environment.
Yeah, and just to add on, I totally agree with everything that Zach just said. And beyond group projects, which there's a lot of, I know that I always have really big study groups with all of my friends, and no one's ever trying to bring anyone else down as far as grades go. Yeah.
All right, I just noticed we have one more VSA who has joined us. Greg, can you introduce yourself for us?
Hey guys, my name is Greg Sinclair. I'm a senior studying chemical engineering. I'm originally from Granite Bay, California, right outside of Sacramento. On campus, I'm involved in the Trojan Marching Band. I'm actually the section leader of the trombone section. I'm also involved in the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, and I did research on campus for 2 years dealing with the combustion properties of alternative fuels.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Our next question is from Frank, and Frank wants to know what some of our favorite clubs that we've gotten involved in have been. So, Jackie, I'm going to let you take this one.
Hi, so my favorite club that I've been involved in this semester is called ACTIVE, which stands for Achieving Change Through Inspiring Values in Education. So every Friday I go with a group and we volunteer at a Second Chance High School, and we basically mentor them on high school or college applications and kind of just like talk to them about their future. And it's a really and I'm also involved in a social sorority, and it's so much fun. There's so many social events, sisterhood events, philanthropy, and it's really something great to get involved with.
And to add on, a great organization I got involved in was USC's chapter of Tamid, which is essentially a entrepreneurial club where you could do business consulting for a Israeli startup. So this semester I'm consulting for a startup called Space IL, where I'm basically gathering business intelligence for them on their competitors and determining whether they'll be able to land a rover on the moon before some of their top-notch competitors. So I think it definitely really ties into engineering, but I really love just the business side of it as well.
Thanks, Alex. Our next question is it possible to minor as an engineer? And I'm actually going to jump in and take this one first. First of all, my name's Gavin. I'm a senior studying mechanical engineering. And I've been involved in SC Racing, which is the club on campus that builds small Formula One cars. I do research in the Shockwave Lab. I've been involved in the Stevens Institute for Innovation, and I'm a member of the men's rugby team. But I also have a minor in entrepreneurship. So that's why I'm going to take this one. And so the answer is simply yes, it is possible to minor. I started my minor sophomore year. And I know Alyssa, another VSA of ours, she also has a minor in art history. So it definitely helps when you come into USC to have those AP credits that you can then use to sort of get yourself out of classes and create space in your 4 years. It's still definitely possible to do it even without some of those credits, but it does help for that flexibility and to be able to take those classes like ballroom dance or something if you want to do that. So it is possible. Does anyone else have anything to add? All right, with that, we're going to move on to our next question. Raphael wants to know about dorms. Do engineering students all live together, or are they spread out? And I'm going to hand this one off to Cassandra.
So there's no place where all engineers can live together as freshmen. It's mainly because I'm sure you spend a lot of time with engineers in your classes, and you kind of want to meet people outside of your major. So when I was a freshman, I lived in Parkside Arts and Humanities, and I lived on the music floor. And so a lot of the people that I interacted with were really into music. They were musicians, and I'm still really close with a few of them. I just went to one of my friend's senior flute recital. So it's a really cool way as a freshman. It's great to live with people that aren't engineers, just because you spend so much time with them in class and outside of class studying with them. So I really liked my freshman experience, meeting a bunch of people outside of my major.
Thanks, Cassandra. Next question, Gina wants to know how accessible are professors. Are there tutoring or workshops offered to students? What's the student-professor relationship like? So I'm going to go to you, Morel.
Yeah, so I've always found that my professors were really accessible. They all have office hours, and even if you drop by just outside of office hours, sometimes you can catch them. And they're all really, really friendly. Any professor that I've wanted to talk to, I've been able to. And as far as other tutoring and like additional things to lectures to help you with class material, there's a great, it's called SI, which stands for, can anyone jump in? What does SI stand for?
Supplemental instruction.
Supplemental instruction for a lot of classes where students have taken the classes in the past, give lectures that help with to give additional information about the class if you're confused about anything.
All right, Greg, what's your experience been with the student-professor relationship?
I think it's been great. I think some professors I have in certain classes I've been able to establish a really good connection with. I know in my thermodynamics class I really had to rely on talking to other professors and going into their office hours. And as a senior now, I've been able to develop some professional relationships with certain professors, and that's been able to come in handy with letters of rec, whatever like that. So I think it really depends on what you put into it, and that'll determine what you get out of it.
Thanks, Greg. Next question is coming from Jorge on Twitter. And Jorge wants to know, as a freshman, are you placed into general engineering classes, or do you just go straight into your major? So I'm going to go right back to you, Greg. What's the answer?
All right, so as a freshman, I actually started taking engineering classes the first semester. So all engineers take a class called Freshman Academy, and I actually wasn't an academy coach. I mean, one academy coach can jump in on that class more specifically, but that class kind of, you throw engineers of all different majors in together and goes over different topics of engineering kind of on a general scale. So I don't know if a coach wants to jump in on that or.
Thanks, Greg. I think that covers it. Next, we're going to go to Molly from Twitter, and Molly wants to know how easily and how early are undergraduates able to get involved in research, especially considering the number of graduate students on campus. So, Alex, I'm gonna let you take this one.
Yeah, so Molly, it's very easy. It's really purely dependent on you and how much time that you have as a student. I know that I got started in research right off the bat, the fall of my freshman semester. And professors are always looking for students to help them out in their labs. I spoke with one of my professors, and he actually recommended me to another professor at one of his colleagues, and that's how I got started on the lunar lander research project. So just approach a professor, and a lot of them are very willing to give freshmen research positions, and if they don't have any positions, they know people who do have positions who can definitely help you out if you want to get into research early on.
Yeah, Alex brings up a great point. It's most important to really just talk to your professors. I know I came in, freshman year, first week of school. My Astronautics 101 professor, I was an astronautical engineering major at the time, and my Astronautics 101 professor mentioned that he was doing some really cool research. So I went up and talked to him after class, and I said, how can I get involved? And he said, why don't you come by my lab tomorrow, and we'll see what we can do. And so I interviewed the very next day and started working the second week of school freshman year. After my sophomore year, I ended up switching majors to mechanical engineering and also switched to labs basically in the same manner to a fluid dynamics lab, and I'm now working in a shockwave laboratory. So Alex brings up a great point. It's really most important to just talk to your professors. They're there to help you. They want you in the labs to get that experience. They love having undergraduates in their labs. So next question is from Brandon on Twitter. And Brandon asks, can you double major with business or economics? So I'm going to hand this one off to Zach.
Yeah, so, with every major, it's going to be a different case. You have to talk to an advisor to get more exact word on it. But I know with comp sci, there's actually a program called Computer Science Business Administration where you get both the Marshall School of Business and the Viterbi School of Engineering in business and computer science. So you work towards both degrees at the same time. So if you do choose computer science, there is a built-in program to get you the dual degree in business and computer science. With other engineering majors, you'll have to talk to an advisor, and the advisors at USC or the admissions staff would love to talk to you about that if you email them or come to campus to talk to them to get a more specific answer for that major. But I know for comp sci, it's a built-in program.
Thanks, Zach. We're going to move on and do another question here. This one's coming at us from Campbell on Twitter. And he wants to know, what's the gender ratio like in Viterbi? What's it like as a girl in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, math at USC? So we're going to give this one off to Cassandra.
So the gender ratio will vary by major. I know in my classes it's generally 50-50 for industrial and systems engineers. But in recent years, we've been having a really, really good ratio. So last year, I believe, I'm almost positive we had 38% females coming in as the freshman class, which is a really awesome ratio. And additionally, to have that female support group, there are tons of different organizations within Viterbi that you can join, so you can get to know a lot of other female engineers. So specifically, I really wanted to get involved in the Society of Women Engineers. I got involved my freshman year, and I've been really involved ever since, and that's been my core group of friends. And so I get professional development from there. I get company contacts and other social events that I get to network with other female engineers in that sense. But I think Jackie also wants to add a little bit too.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Cassandra said. Being a woman in engineering, I actually love it. There's more girls than I thought there would be in a lot of my classes. I know USC has a higher average of women in engineering than what the national average is, which is a really neat perspective to take at USC. And collaborating with a lot of males sometimes can be challenging, but you also have those females in your classes that you can bond with too. So it's a good balance here.
Thanks, Jackie. Next question coming at us from Gina. Gina asks, how many students are in your classes? So Morel, I'm going to start with you. What are your class sizes normally like?
Yeah, so it really depends on what classes you're taking. I found that general education classes and science classes like physics classes and chemistry classes tend to be a little bit bigger, but all of my electrical engineering classes have been actually pretty small. On average, my EE classes are 20 to 30 students.
Thanks, Morel. Our next question is, let's see, I would like to know what the experience is like of the Rocket Propulsion Laboratory. So Alex, this one's for you. What's RPL like?
Yeah, so I started working in RPL this semester, and It is just awesome. I think that it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of hands-on work. I mean, you're dealing with the machine shop, the lathes. You're dealing with actually like machining the rocket nozzle itself, but you're also working on the software work. I mean, the data acquisition, the all of the like software that goes into like the actual liftoff itself for the rocket. And then the best part is that you end up launching it. We launched a rocket 2 months ago now, September 20th, in the middle of Black Rock, Nevada, in the middle of the desert, and that's really awesome because it's the climax of, I mean, a few years of hard work, a collaborative effort to build this 15-foot tall rocket, like 2 feet in diameter, that's supposed to go 350,000 feet in the air. So it's definitely an amazing experience for certain.
Thanks, Alex. Sarah on Twitter wants to know, how easy is it to study abroad as an engineer? So I'm going to start off with Cassandra because I know you've done kind of a unique study abroad program. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So last semester, with a bunch of other VSAs, Gavin included, I took iPodia, which is a class offered through Viterbi. And so every week you meet on campus and you essentially Skype with another class that's in Germany, Israel, Korea, and China was what it was last semester. And you learn about innovation throughout the entire semester. You work on a group project, and that was really cool because I learned how to work virtually with an international team. And so we had to juggle time differences when we were talking about when we were planning meeting time, in addition to cultural barriers too. So that was really interesting. And then at the end of the semester, for 2 weeks, we all met in Korea, and we finished up our final project and we presented it, and then we got to explore a little bit of Korea as well. So it was a really interesting and extremely cool international experience that I had at USC.
Morel, do you want to add on?
Yeah, so 2 summers ago, I went on the Viterbi Summer Abroad program, which is a really cool program that allows you to study abroad over the summer. I actually went with Gavin, and it takes about 30 USC engineers and USC faculty, and you get to go to, the location varies from year to year. It's generally Madrid or Rome or London or Paris, but it was a really, really great time. Awesome experience, and the best part was that I didn't have to miss an entire semester at USC. But if you do want to go abroad for an entire semester, that's also generally possible. I have a friend right now who's studying abroad in Australia and a friend who's going to go abroad to Hong Kong next year.
Thanks, Morel. Our next question is coming from Thomas on Twitter, and Thomas asks, how safe is USC's campus? So Zach, I'm going to hand this one off to you.
Yeah, so 2 different approaches to this. First of all, statistically, USC does have a very safe campus. And personally, as a student here for almost 3 years now, I've really never had an experience where I felt unsafe walking around USC, and I certainly have been going all around the campus since I was a freshman on a near day. I mean, I commute back and forth from the row. It's about 6 blocks to campus 2 or 3 times a day, probably at all hours of the day. So personally, I've always found it to be a really safe and great place, and I really love the area around here. I've become quite attached to it, so I love it.
I definitely was a little apprehensive. My parents were a little nervous too, since we are set in a really big city, and I grew up in a smaller town. But it's something that you get yourself accustomed to living in a large city, and of course you have to follow all the precautions that you normally would if you were in any other city. So I always make it a point to walk with people if it's really late at night, or and I live off campus. I live a few blocks off campus too, and the commute isn't terrible. I have a bike. Sometimes I end up walking if I want to get my exercise, and then we have something that we endearingly call yellow jackets, but they're essentially guards that are stationed at every street off campus that look out for our well-being, especially in the late hours of the night. So I've definitely gotten accustomed to living in a large city, and I think it's relatively easy to do, and USC definitely has the resources to make you feel comfortable.
Thanks, Cassandra. And I don't know, I didn't actually hear if anyone mentioned Campus Cruiser. And if no one did, I'll just quickly elaborate. Campus Cruiser is a resource that we have at USC that will pick you up and take you anywhere within, I think it's like a 1.5 or 2 mile radius for free anytime, and it's door to door. So if you're ever late at night somewhere and you want that ride back to campus, to your dorm, or somewhere else off campus, they'll take you, and it's free of charge. So it's a great service. I use it all the time. I know all my friends use it all the time. It's a great thing that USC offers. And with that, we'll move on to the next question. This one's coming at us from Francisco on Twitter, and Francisco wants to know, what was the hardest challenge coming in as an incoming freshman at Viterbi? So, Greg, I'm going to hand this one off to you. All right, I think Greg lost internet for a second. All right, so we're going to go straight to Alex on this one.
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge, and not to sound cliche, is time management. It's the USC. There's so many opportunities and so much going on, and it's a lot to handle, especially as a freshman just being first exposed to a new climate and so many new opportunities. So I mean, it's definitely difficult, but the best way to do that is shift through what you really want to do, determine your top priorities, and then just do them and enjoy yourself doing it. Make sure everything you do you enjoy, and I feel like that's the best way to kind of tackle that time management. Too many things to do in one day problem.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Alex just said. To add, for me, my biggest challenge coming into Viterbi was definitely the fact that in high school I'd taken physics classes, math classes, all of those sciences. But coming here, there's nothing really like engineering, and you don't really get to take those classes in high school. So it's definitely a big transition, but USC has all the resources, to help make you comfortable and to help adapt to the environment. So after your first couple of weeks, you'll be ready to go.
Gavin's computer died, so we're gonna hop into the next questions here. Basically, the next question from Andrew on Twitter: is it possible to be involved with Greek life while at USC and have time for both? So, Zach, I'm gonna start this question off. Give it to you.
Yeah, so a lot of people in engineering are involved in Greek life, so the answer is definitely just yes. And from my personal experience, and I pledged a fraternity when I was a first semester freshman, so I've been in Greek life almost the entire time I've been at USC, and it's really never been a problem for me with time management. Actually, you learn a lot about time management from it, so I think it's helped me in a lot of ways. And then for the past 2 years, I've been in leadership roles in the fraternity, so it's been a really great experience. I've learned a lot that I apply to engineering and the other way around, so there's definitely enough time for it if it's something you're interested in. It's not for everyone, but if you do want to do it, the time definitely works out.
Okay, guys, we're having some technical difficulties in the back office here. I'm Lissa. I'm a junior studying chemical engineering with an emphasis in nanotechnology and a minor in art history here at USC. On campus, I was involved in a research lab for 2 years. I'm also on the executive board for the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, and I'm a freshman academy coach. We are going to be switching to the next question, which is about hands-on learning here at USC. So we're going to pass that over to Zach to talk about hands-on learning.
Yeah, so most of my classes have some sort of a hands-on learning component, whether it's a lab or projects. One example is for one of my classes, we work on FPGA boards, programming circuitry that we build on the computer into the board, and then making small projects work on it, like sorting things, or one thing we made is a lock. And then in my programming classes, we also make all sorts of different things. I've made things like password crackers, file compressors, and there's always a hands-on learning component to every class you take. So it's definitely a big part of the engineering school, and then it really comes into play when you get an internship. So I think it's a really important component of the classes. And then some examples of some of the projects we've done are currently I'm working on making a driver interface for the FPGA board to use a keyboard over a PS2 USB connection to the FPGA, so you can we're writing a driver essentially in C in a Unix environment. Then you can interface with the FPGA. You can type and you can store text on the FPGA. In my programming class, we're currently making a version of Simcity using the different projects we've made over the semester. And those are just two of the ones I'm working on this semester. So I think those are pretty cool examples. Someone else has some other insight to share outside of the software world, though.
So in Astronautical 101, which is a freshman course I took last fall, we had our end of the semester project was basically mapping if we were to go on a mission from Earth to Mars, how we'd do that mission. So it was a little bit of a smaller project, but we basically had to look at how do we get into orbit on Earth, what burn would we require to escape lower Earth orbit and get into a Hohmann transfer towards Mars, and how to re-enter Martian orbit. So a lot of that was just looking at like the different burns and the trajectory of the rocket, and also looking at what sort of rocket we would need to achieve all this. And in the end, it just kind of all came together as if we were to do this mission, how would we do it, and both technically and also from a business side.
All right, so the next question we're going to go to is Gina's curious about how easy it is to transfer majors in engineering. So first, Jackie's going to tell us something about that, and then I think we're going to move on to Cassandra.
Yeah, so I actually just changed my major about 2 weeks ago within Viterbi. So I was originally an electrical engineering major, which is freshman, and halfway through the semester I decided I wanted to switch into industrial systems engineering, and all I had to the office, talk to the advisor, figure out my course plan, and fill out one little paper, and it was super easy. It took about 10 minutes to switch over. I'm still going to graduate in 4 years, and yeah, it's just very, very easy to do.
So I originally was environmental engineering for the first 2 years of being here at USC, and after my freshman and sophomore years, during the summer, I had internships that were in the environmental field, and they were slightly different though, but I wasn't really interested in either of them. And in my second internship, I had exposure to industrial engineering principles. At my internship, I took a 2-day training course in Lean Six Sigma, and that was the highlight of my summer, and so that's when I decided to switch my major. And so I got in contact with my advisor, similar to Jackie, and I told her that I wanted to switch my major, and so she worked out the remainder of my 2 years here at USC and what courses I needed to take, and she was really helpful in that sense, and I was able to change my major over the summer, and I will still graduate in May, which is in 4 years still, so it was relatively easy for me too. And I think that's something that's really cool to highlight about internships, is that you find out both what you do like and what you don't like. So internships are really cool too. A little plug for those.
Okay, so the next question is definitely for you, Greg. Matt wants to know, is it difficult to be in the marching band while having a social life and being an engineer? So Greg is our trombonist. Please take this one.
So like I said, I am in the marching band, and being an engineer in Viterbi, definitely have rigorous coursework. There you have to invest a lot of hours and doing different things like that. So, but the biggest thing in marching band is that I think it's a good opportunity for people to get out of the class and have a different experience than be in the classroom, getting that intense work in the paper and pen and all that stuff. Get out in the field. There is a lot of practice. We have about 9 hours practice a week. Saturdays, kind of, it's a big day. It's a football day during the fall. So we'll have practice in the morning. You'll have time to nap, eat, stuff like that. Then you'll go to the game, and that's a big thing. So it's definitely a lot of time commitment. I think it's definitely worth it. It's definitely manageable as an engineer. It's all about time management, and you'll hear that again and again when you get to college. So I really enjoy it. I've gotten a lot out of it, and I think that if you are interested in joining the band, you should definitely do it and not, you'd be unsure. It's always better to join first and then see how it goes. And then, down the line, if you feel like it's too much, then you can make that decision for yourself.
Thanks, Greg. I'm Was I muted?
Yeah, I'm not sure we heard that introduction, but the next question is basically just about internships at USC. What kind of companies recruit here, and how do you get these said internships? So there's a career center at Viterbi that is specifically geared towards engineering undergrad students at USC. So we have a lot of companies that go through them to get interviews with students here. I had an interview with them a few weeks ago with Microsoft. Google comes to campus. There are a bunch of like Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Turner Construction, a bunch of really good engineering companies specifically want to recruit and USC undergrads. And something else that the Viterbi Career Center puts on is once a semester a huge career fair, again for engineering students. And so more than 200 companies come to recruit for engineering undergrads. I personally got so I had a few internships while being here at USC. 2 summers ago, I had an internship at Abbott Laboratories in environmental health and safety, and that was in Chicago. And then last summer, I interned in information systems with the Dow Chemical Company, and that was located in Michigan. And I actually got that one from the Society of Women Engineers National Conference last year, which was in Houston. But I definitely have used USC's Viterbi career resources, and they've been really helpful to me, especially with resume writing and interviewing skills and techniques. So they really prepare you for an internship. But that being said, you do have to be proactive, and an internship isn't going to be handed to you. You have to actively seek that, given the resources that USC gives you.
Yeah, and just to add on, my personal experience this year, I went to the networking event that Cassandra is talking about, and managed to get an interview next day from Micron. I also, through the Career Center, got an interview with Boeing, and I've gotten offers from both companies. And there are a lot of other companies that come and recruit specifically at USC. This past summer, I did an internship at a biotech company here in LA called Syntouch LLC. That is actually a spin-off from a research lab here at USC. So.
All right. Thanks, Morel, and thank you guys all for the interim moderating. I appreciate it. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. So we're gonna head on into our next question. But actually, first, I'm gonna mention that if you guys have admissions questions, we'll have an admissions-related live chat later on this fall. So interim questions, the admissions questions will be answered by an admissions representative who knows a little more about that stuff. But for right now, we are answering questions about student life here at USC. Okay, so also we've got a question coming at us from Twitter asking about mechanical engineering and experiences. So I'm just going to talk really quickly about that. I am a mechanical engineer. I actually switched in my junior year to mechanical engineering. I was originally astronautical engineering, and I'm still going to graduate in 4 years, and that's kind of an important thing to note. Astronautical, aerospace, and mechanical engineering are all so similar that it is really just possible to kind of switch in between those, you know, as late as midway through junior year, really, and not be set back. There are a few things that I've been involved in mechanical engineering related. One of that is the research I do. I do research, like I mentioned before, in the shockwave lab, and our current project is using biomimicry of woodpeckers, woodpecker dynamics, to create a better helmet for military applications. So creating a helmet that will absorb more of the energy spectrum from things like blast radii to prevent soldiers from getting things like PTSD and depression when they come home. Another thing I've been involved in is SC Racing, and as I mentioned before, SC Racing is a club that's student-run that they build small Formula One cars for the Formula SAE competition, usually held in Nebraska. So that's been a really cool experience. I worked on the powertrain team, so I worked with the engine. It was a really awesome experience, and I'd highly recommend it for anyone in mechanical engineering at USC. And with that, I'm going to head on into the next question. is it possible to do club sports or intramurals as an engineer? And I'm going to quick start this one off. Again, me, hi, because I've been involved in intramural soccer and club rugby and things like that. So intramurals is definitely possible. It's very easy. There's all sorts of ways to sign up and get a team going. Freshman and sophomore year, I played intramural soccer with guys in my hall in Burncrant dorm. After that, I ended up joining the USC rugby team. Practices are like 4 nights a week, and it's been, at times it's difficult to balance, but as everyone has mentioned before, it's all about, time management when you get to college and making sure that you're not overloading yourself. So it's been a great experience, and I've enjoyed it a lot. And if anyone else wants to take it, jump right in.
So last year, I joined the USC Marathon team, and we trained for and ran the LA Marathon together in March. And yeah, like Gavin said, it was a really huge time commitment. I slept a lot and ate a lot in preparation for running the marathon, but it was such a cool experience, especially to train with them. On Sunday, we did really long runs by the coast, and it was really beautiful. So it was really worth it, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Jackie, you have anything to add? Oh, we can't hear you, Jackie.
I'm sorry.
Still muted.
Okay, I think you guys can hear me now. Sorry about that. I have mute on. I'm also involved in intramural volleyball on campus, which is really, really fun. I actually do it with a bunch of girls in my sorority. It's not that big of a commitment. You just kind of go when you want to go. A lot of people are involved. It's a great way to meet other people as well. I made a lot of friends through it. It's not super, super competitive, but I played volleyball in high school, and I really missed it, but didn't have the time to do club with all the other things I'm involved in. So it was a really cool way to be able to still play volleyball and get to meet some new people. So it's definitely doable, and it's a lot of fun. I recommend it.
Thanks, Jackie. Our next question, and I'm going to have everyone answer this one actually, it's what's your favorite part about Viterbi? So if everyone can give kind of a brief one-liner what their favorite thing is, let's start with Alex.
Yeah, so my favorite part about Viterbi is the people. Everyone is just like you. They're all committed, they're devoted, and they want to do well. I love that. I
love it that even though USC is so large, Viterbi is smaller, and it feels like a community. And a lot of my really close friends are within Viterbi, so that's one of my favorite parts.
All right. My favorite part about Viterbi is definitely that in Viterbi you can focus on not just being an engineer and getting the technical aspects, but really being a global leader. And that was one thing they pitched to me when I was coming to USC, is that they really focus on making sure you don't just learn engineering, but become a global citizen.
For me, it's definitely just the amount of opportunities Viterbi has. I mean, day in and day out, I'm constantly receiving emails that there's a conference, that there's networking, that there's a new club starting. And I think that's really, really cool that I'm constantly being told what's happening, these new things, and just so many endless opportunities.
I love that Viterbi has a ton of resources, and there's just so much to do, just like Jackie just said. But even though there's a lot to do, there's a lot of people to help you through everything.
My favorite thing is I just like learning cool things in my classes, and I feel like every class I take I learn something really interesting or really neat that I'm happy I know that now. So Viterbi's just taught a lot of things I'm really happy I know.
Thanks, Zach. And I think Greg kind of mentioned this, but my favorite thing is certainly the people. Everyone at USC, it just seems to be doing cool things, and that's the best way I can put it. Everyone, whether it's something engineering related or not. One of my roommates he's a business major, but he's also a professional choreographer, and he's done choreography for Jeremiah and I think Kanye and some other really cool people. So you meet all these people at USC, and it's not just Viterbi, it's USC as a whole. So just a lot of really cool people here, and that's what I love most. Next question is, how much homework do you typically have a week? So I'm gonna hand this one off to Alex. What's the homework situation like?
Yeah, so I mean, you do have classes, so there will be homework, but what homework's really like is you'll get problem sets or basically assignments that are due a week or a week and a half after they're assigned. So in the end, it's really not that much homework because it's low stress. I mean, you have a week and a half to do it, so you can start maybe on a Wednesday night, and if the homework's due the next following Tuesday, you do like 30 minutes a day on that class, and you got it done. In the end, it probably adds up. I mean, it's going to vary by year, by classes, and by major, but it'll be anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, and I mean, even then, that can still vary, and it's really what you make of it. I mean, you'll still have time to do everything else you want to do at USC. Homework is never a blockade to having a good time and to doing extracurricular activities.
Yeah, so just to echo off what Alex said, in the first couple of years, it was a lot of problem sets, a lot of learning really hardcore engineering principles, math, science, physics, but this semester and this year in particular, I have a lot of group projects, which is really cool. Literally in every single one of my classes, I have a group project that's going on. So it's kind of tough to, it's challenging to juggle all of the group meetings and all the deadlines that we have, but it's really cool because that again speaks to the collaborative environment that's found here within Viterbi, and I really like it, and I feel like I'm applying a lot of the engineering principles that I've learned up until this point in my group projects, and it's really cool to feed off of the ideas of my other classmates and to really come up with an awesome project at the end of the semester.
Sounds like a great experience, Cassandra. Our next question is, what's the average weekend like for an engineer? So I'm gonna hand this one off to Zach first.
Yeah, so the average weekend for an engineer, it's actually surprisingly similar to the average weekend for a non-engineer. Depends on the weekend, really, but for me, on an average weekend, a lot of Fridays, some friends and I go out golfing with one of our recent alumni who works at Jacobs Engineering down in Long Beach. So we meet up with him. It's a great time to catch up. Saturdays, I'll probably hang around the house. Sometimes I go out in LA, go hang out with my girlfriend somewhere, explore the city a bit, do things on campus if there's an event, and then on Sunday I'll probably do my homework, catch up. I have a lot of meetings on Sunday for my fraternity. It's when we take care of all of our business, so it's definitely a good time to relax, but there's also some work to get done.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like Zach said, it really just depends on the weekend. Some weekends are a little busier, some weekends are a little more relaxing, and I decided this semester that I'm not from around here, I'm not from Southern California, and so I decided that I really wanted to go on trips and see what there is to see around here. So this semester I've gone on trips over the weekends to Joshua Tree, to Mammoth, to Big Sur, and I think that's a lot of fun. You can go camping and see a lot of really cool, beautiful places around here.
Thanks, Morel. Cindy wants to know if anyone is applying to grad schools. And Greg, I know you've been thinking about that, so I'm going to hand this one off to you first.
All right, yeah, so, I mean, I'm a senior right now. I'm currently in the process of applying to graduate school. Most of my applications are due in about a month. I'm actually interested in pursuing a doctorate degree in nuclear engineering. At this point, I'm interested in definitely, advancing my knowledge to the frontier of the field. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's a lot of work. You know, it's kind of similar to the undergraduate process. You have essays, you have general information you have to take care
of. Thanks, Greg. And I'm also a senior, and my experience with grad school is a little bit different. So I will be getting my master's, but I'm actually going to be getting it from USC through what's called the Progressive Degree Program. And the PDP, as we call it, is just a one-year add-on to your undergraduate career. So they try and expedite the process for you. And so I applied. It was really, really easy. There are no essays involved or anything like that. You just basically go meet with your graduate advisor. I met with an ISE advisor because I'm actually going to be getting my master's in engineering management. So that's through the Industrial and Systems Engineering School. And so I met with an ISE advisor, and she basically dictated which courses I was allowed to take, and I selected those, got those approved, and within like a month I was sort of accepted to grad school, and I'll be completing my master's this next year. So it's a really cool thing that the USC offers. For those coming into USC, it's something that you certainly don't have to worry about now. You apply in your junior year, so not something you need to be too concerned about, but it's just nice to know that it's there because it is a really unique thing to be able to get that master's in 1 year. All right, so we're going to go to the next question now, and next question is coming at us from Francisco on Twitter again. And Francisco wants to know, what's your advice for prospective students who are undecided or unsure of what field within engineering to select? And so, since I know you switched, Cassandra, I'm gonna hand this one off to you first.
Sure. So something really cool that Viterbi has is this engineering 101, I believe. It is basically a general engineering, intro to engineering class, and so that's for people who are really unsure about what engineering they want to go into. And it gives you a little taste of each of the engineerings throughout the semester, so you can learn what kinds of projects you'd be doing or what kind of work you'd be doing in that specific major. But if you're kind of toggling back and forth between two, it might be a good idea to possibly take the intro class for the one that you are leaning a little bit more towards, because then you can get a really in-depth feel for what that major is and whether you would like that. And something else is just to not underestimate the value of your friends and the network that you have here at USC. So talk to your friends that are of different majors and see what they're doing in their classes, and that may likely be something that you may want to get into, in addition to reaching out to professors as well, because professors are always so willing to talk to you about what they do since they're so passionate about it. So those are a few avenues that you can take if you're unsure about what major that you want. And don't worry if you don't know off the bat, because as you heard, a lot of us ended up switching, and we're still fine with graduating in 4 years. So don't stress too much about that.
Yeah, and I actually came in undeclared engineering. I didn't take the General Engineering 101 course. I took the Computer Science 101 course because I knew I was interested in that and ended up doing research in computer science. But Viterbi gives a lot of really cool resources like the Spotlight series, where every few weeks Viterbi brings in alums from a specific major who talk about what they're doing now, what their career has been graduating with whatever major they were in. And I found that was really, really useful. It helped me pick my track towards electrical engineering. And as Cassandra said, talking to other students really, really helps.
Thanks, Morel. Our next question is about computers. So people want to know which computer is better for engineering purposes, a Mac or a PC. So Greg, why don't you kick us off with that one?
All right. When I was senior in high school, I definitely had the people telling me, if you're going to be an engineer, you have to buy a PC. You have to buy a PC. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get a Mac. And came into UC Viterbi, and I really found out that it really didn't matter that much. I mean, most of the software I've had all throughout 4 years, you can get it on a Mac or a PC. There have been a couple situations, some of my more upper division classes, where the software is PC only, but the biggest thing is that there are a lot of facilities on campus. We do have the computer labs in Viterbi. The chemical engineering department has a computer lab just and that has software already loaded on. So I know what. Right now I'm taking a class that uses the process design software, and it's a Windows only.
All right. So I think, Greg, we're losing your connection a little bit, but I'll just quickly summarize because I think we might have missed a little bit. So, it really doesn't matter too much. A lot of people, get Macs and run boot camp to get Windows on their computers and be able to get software that's only associated with Windows. However, I've got a PC and I still go to the computer labs on campus a lot because even if I've got programs like SolidWorks or MATLAB, the computers on campus are so much faster than my computer. So it's really nice to be able to go to campus and use those resources. Our next question is, do Viterbi students have time to work out? And does USC have a nice gym to work out in? So, Alex, I know you like to go to the gym. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so USC has a great gym. It's USC's Lion Center, and I love to go because I used to swim in high school, and basically they open up their pool, their Olympic-sized pool for any students, and I use it all the time. I mean, I'd probably go there and swim maybe like 2 miles once a week and kind of get a good workout in that regard. Outside the pool, there's I think 6 basketball courts, half-court basketball courts inside, and there's rock climbing, there's racquetball. I love to play racquetball in my free time. So there's definitely time to work out, and even if you don't have time, there's classes you can take. I took a weightlifting class last semester, which I use to work out every Monday and Wednesday. So I really definitely love going to the Lion Center here at USC.
And just to add on, I'm definitely a gymaholic. If I don't go to the gym 5 times in a week, it's a terrible week. And I found that I just perform much better in my classes when I have gone to the gym and I've worked out and I'm relaxed. So that's something that's very important to me. And USC has great resources to go work out and get that stress release that you need. So it's certainly there. Before we move on to our last question, I'm just going to quickly reiterate, if you guys have any admissions questions, we will have a separate admissions live chat pretty soon. Look out for it in the next few weeks, and that will be with an admissions representative who will be able to answer all those questions about SAT, ACT scores, the admissions process itself, things like that. And if you guys came and joined us late, and didn't get your question answered, feel free to check out the live chat. We'll post the full video on the live chats page, this page, as soon as we're done, so you can run back through and check that out. If your question didn't get answered, feel free to shoot us an email at viterbistudent@usc.edu. To get that question answered, we can send that out to Viterbi ambassadors who are most relevant to that question to get that answered. And with that, we're going to go into the final question. We're going to have everyone answer this one. Question is, why USC? So I'm going to just hand this off to you guys.
Yeah, so for me, the reason I chose USC was because everyone at USC, when I went and visited, was just genuinely happy. And when I was going to go to a school for 4 years, I wanted to be somewhere where I was going to be happy, and I felt like I could have that at USC, and it was definitely the truth.
Yeah, for me, I think USC gives a really great balance of academics and extracurriculars and lets you really delve into whatever you want.
Yeah, I chose USC for a very similar reason as Morel. It's a well-rounded university. It's academics, sports, gotta love football, and I knew that being in a well-rounded university would make me a more well-rounded person.
I definitely chose USC because coming here and having it be a research university, that's something I really wanted to get involved in as an undergraduate, and I love the university's focus on really developing leaders and going out and changing the world. So.
This kind of echoes off of what people have said previously, but just the amount of opportunities that are available here at USC are amazing. It is such a large university, so there are so many different clubs to get involved in. There's so many different people from all over the world that you can talk to and learn from. And so that was an environment that I could really see myself grow in for 4 years. And I definitely have, and I'm so sad this is my last year here.
And for me, I chose USC because just Viterbi is just so great in hands-on research and getting your hands dirty and really learning through doing, and that's how I learn. And that's really the reason why I chose, is that it gives me the best opportunity to do what I love and to do it often.
All right, thanks everyone. And like I mentioned before, the reason I chose USC was really the people. I mentioned one of my roommates. Just coming to USC, you meet people who are really good at a lot of different things. You have a lot of people who are well-rounded, but you also have people who are deeply involved in one specific thing and who are just very good at that. And so you get a really great mixture of people, and it's just a dynamic that I didn't find anywhere else in my college search. And that's got to be why I picked USC. Final thing is that I actually misspoke. If you guys have questions that did not get answered, please email viterbi.student@usc.edu, not viterbistudent. So any questions, feel free to email that account, and we'll get those answered as quickly as possible. VSA team, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you to everyone out there. It's been a great live chat, and I hope that our answers helped you in your college admissions process. Fight on, everybody.